Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, it's New Year, who dis, as we work out a reset for 2024. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. I thought you'd appreciate that one.
Yeah, so I didn't write. So the reason I'm laughing is because
I was channeling my Tori vibes.
I didn't write an intro, and I said you're gonna have to make up an intro. Just speak with your heart. And I've entitled this just for my own giggles, as I did the outline, so that I'd know which one was the right outline. New Year, who dis? New Year reset episode.
I enjoyed that, so I used it.
And what I did not expect was when I told Jo to speak with her heart on what the intro should be. I kind of did not expect that it was going to be New Year, who dis? And in such a bubbly, upbeat way as well.
Isn't that what you expect from me now? It's a nice bubbly, upbeat, positive
vibe. I expect the bubbly, upbeat, positive vibe from you so much more than from me. The point is, I didn't expect that to manifest itself in New Year, who dis? I didn't expect you to read that out loud.
I thought I'd set the tone for the entire episode.
Oh, fabulous.
All right, dear listeners, it's 2024. We are here.
God.
We made it.
Hilariously, our second recording of 2024, and we are more when at the time of recording, we are more than we are basically beyond the halfway point in the month.
Yeah, it's been
insanely.
It's been an interesting start already. It's been busy already. It's January, people. It's supposed to be that nice, like it's cold. We're gonna slowly move in.
Cold. It's freezing. It's an ice age out there.
You are always cold though, so.
Are you going to tell me that it's not cold out, Joanne? Are you going to tell me it is not cold out?
No, I am not telling you that it's not cold out. But I mean, it's not snowing.
I went into London and it was -3.
Oh, that is cold.
Like it was, yeah. I think at one point it was -5 and it said feels like -8.
Because of the wind.
And I was like,
I mean,
no.
Bear in mind, I got stuck in Germany because of snow. So you know.
Yeah.
Cold is as cold does.
Well, I thankfully got out of Boston before snow.
Yeah, snowing in Germany again. One of my
that was close. It was a close one
today, and it was over over Teams, and he's like, "Look, snowing."
How British is this? The rest of us. I feel like we spent the first 10 minutes being like, "That weather, though, eh?" That was like the most British thing I think I've done. That's great.
Cups of tea in a minute.
That weather. Oh, I'm not there yet. No. Not there yet. But yeah, I guess this episode we just kind of thought we'd like have some beers and then just kind of take this as an opportunity to sort of like reset. We can do like a really quick catch up to speed with where we are and what we're going to do the rest of the year. We'll talk about some fun it's Tryanuary. We'll talk about some fun Tryanuary stuff. And then, I think we're going to have some refresher lessons. This is going to be the episode that we just kind of like palate cleanse, reset, rebaseline, refocus, reshift our energy. It's the episode of That's what we should call it.
The episode of
So yeah, I guess. Let's crack our first beer first before we can get into. We can crack our first beer. We can use this as a little sync up to be like, what did we do since we last really recorded? Besides last night, because that doesn't count.
Right, so what beer have you got? I can hear you cracking it. You haven't even showed us what you've got.
Am drinking a Sam Adams Winter Lager.
Oh,
because I really, and
so
you can see
jealous.
I'm wearing. I want to take the time to say I'm wearing a crop top jumper that I got from Sam Adams. How innovative are they? They're like, I've got my crop top jumper out. I was like, buying that. That is happening. And I've got my Sam Adams glass. Look at
Oh
that.
God, I love those Sam
Look
Adams
at that shape.
glasses.
I'm a bit sad because it's not the old school ones that had the blue stripe on the top and then like
Yeah.
the colour on it. It's just a plain
I have one of
glass
those.
with just the white Sam Adams logo. Yeah, they don't sell those anymore, but I did get another. I got another glass from them that apparently changes colour, but I haven't used it yet. It's blue and I think it changes colour and it's got like what looks sort of snowflakey on it.
Oh, I think
And
I've seen those.
it's shaped like a can, but it's like quite a big size compared to my. If you think about my Siren Lumina one, it's like that, but like much bigger. So I think you can fit like a whole beer in it as opposed to just part of it. Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Sassy, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking a Lantern Pale Ale. So this is from L'Hermitage, which is a nano brewery in Brussels. I picked this up. I'll talk about where I picked this up later because we're going to Tryanuary. But I bought this beer because if you listened to our beer and taro episode that I did with Courtney in her beer zine, which you should go and get. You can go get it from Bean to Barstool on Instagram, and I'll put that on the show notes for you. One of the breweries that she talks about is L'Hermitage because their tap room has tarot cards painted on the walls and has like a tarot motif. So when I saw this and that it was from them, I was like, I'm having that and trying that. So I've not had a beer from them before, so I'm quite excited for that one.
So there you go.
It's also in a bottle. Both of the beers I'll be drinking tonight are in bottles, which don't get as many bottles anymore, I don't think. I think most things are in cans nowadays. No.
I find that depends on what it is. It depends on what it is and the size. It does depend on what the style
is, and yeah, definitely. But yeah.
Look at that pour there on this. Look at that. Yes. My winter lager. I'll give more context as to why I picked this as well.
I would very much. It's all in French. It does actually. I don't think it tells me, but I'd like to know what hops are in this because I think there might be some Nelson in this. It smells like white wine. Ooh, and gooseberry.
Pardon me, but I'm going to take a photo of this one before I even look at that. Put a flake in that. It is done. It's looking great. Beautiful. I'm getting a photo of this. I'm not even going to be like, oh, hang on, pause this. I am just going to tell you straight up. I'm taking a photo of that beauty before it disappears. I can't be having that go to waste. That would just be selfish. It would be selfish. It would be wrong. And it really wouldn't do Sam Adams any justice, if I'm honest.
All right, beer geeking is finished.
Officially done. We had to take photos because I was like, if I wasted this beautiful
the head on that was
foamy loveliness in this beautiful glass, I'd be I'm even going to drink it like with the logo facing out. It was funny because I'll recap in a second of kind of what I did between Christmas and New Year's, but spoiler alert, when I was on the tour for Sam Adams, and they were talking about stuff that was like talking about water profiles, changing things and stuff, and I was like sat there, and I really, really, really wanted to be like, yeah, because I had it from Shepherd Neeman shit, but I didn't. Yeah. But I was I leaned over to Rick and I was like, yeah, the water profiles, because it is different in the UK, so the recipes. I was like, it's like, do you know that meme with the guy that's like at the club with that girl, and he's like, and she's very she's not interested, and he's just like, that was like me, like Rick was just like, I don't care, like, and I was just like,
you're like, yeah,
they use the same recipe. Did you know that? But also, it tastes so different. It tastes like shit because the water's different because of the hard water. And he was just like, cool.
And he's like, I don't care. Stop talking to me.
I've probably told him that already as well. And he was just like, yep, super cool. Super cool. But yeah, I'm going in for a sip. So cheers.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's a bit late.
Well, no, it's never too late. Better late than never, isn't it? So yeah, I wanted to set the record straight because I feel like when we ended it last year with our end of the year episode, there was so much more time left because I was going to the US and there was so much more time left. And I want to just set the record straight.
Okay.
So for the Drink Harder challenge, I managed to tackle 3 more things. I had the whiskey drink, vodka drink, lager drink, and cider drink. All the way. That was purposeful. I had that on. I think I might have had that on Christmas because I was like purposefully like, I'm not letting this beat me. And I had I showed you I had blue flavor, and I didn't write this, the can wrote this, blue flavor cider, and I was like, this is great, I'm gonna use that's gonna be my cider, so that's great. So yeah, I had a whiskey drink, a vodka drink, because I found that my dad had a peanut butter whiskey, and I was like, that's like but like it was like this small batch made peanut butter whiskey, so I was like, that's great, I'm gonna use that, and I used the peanut butter whiskey and I mixed it with Chambord, and I made like a peanut butter jelly. It was fantastic. Yeah, super good. So I had that as my whiskey drink. My vodka drink, I had a proper like apple cider, not like hard cider, like US apple cider, because there was still some in the supermarket. So obviously I got that. So my vodka drink, I made something that I just made up that had like cider in it. I think it was some weird fireball cider vodka situation, but I was missing some ingredients, so I just had to blag it, and it wasn't the best, I'm not gonna lie, but it was drinkable, so I drank it.
But you drank it, so
a lager drink, I literally just had a lager, like that was it was pretty straightforward, pretty straight to the point. And cider was just cider. My family was like, yeah, like, oh, she's going for the next one, and like my sister was like, what's the next one gonna be? And I was like, she was like, if I just take a sip out of all of this, is this basically I did the challenge with you? And I was like, yeah, sure, YOLO, sure. You've done the challenge too, it's great. So we did it together, it was really a group activity. But yeah, it was, so I did that. I was excited about that one. I would argue that I visited a distillery, because technically I did visit a distillery. Did I stay very long at the distillery? I did not. I bought a bottle to take home from the distillery, but I physically went there. I went there. I went on site. I bought the bottle. It was great. So it was a place called Apres in Portland, Maine. Yeah, I got a really interesting bottle of, it was like a cider that was with raspberry on it, like raspberries in it or something, or blackberries. Yeah, I haven't cracked it open, but I've brought it back from the US with me, so I did that. And then I did host a beer share where I did with my family and one of my friends and his wife. Yeah, it was just, the theme was beers that I brewed in 2023. That was the theme. But I would say I don't recommend saving beers for that long. I was asked specifically to save all the beers that I had brewed, and I basically caveated of like, these aren't going to taste the best, as they did. And I was disappointed. Like, they were like, oh, this tastes really good. And I was like, yeah, I'm disappointed. Like, I'm disappointed giving this to you because it doesn't taste as good as I know it used to.
As it was, yeah.
But my sister just wanted the labels, so I was like, oh, she's so like, my family's super supportive, so they were just like, oh, we just want to try it. And I was like, okay. So I ended up, the only 3 that I didn't manage to do was buy a stranger's beer or split a bottle with a stranger, because I don't have enough balls for that, and that was too like, oh, that was a bit too much for me, too extroverted. And then the drink 2 beers, one that meets Reinheitsgebot and the other that was a variant that breaks it. I feel like we've done it, but I don't have anything like noted down specifically. So I was like, I won't count that one because I can't 100% say that I did it. And then it was the Phobab one and the Gabf one. Yeah, because I was like, we gave up on that.
Something from Phobab.
I probably did while I was in the US without knowing.
JBF. I feel like I did. Anyway, keep.
Did you get something? Did you might have got something at London Craft Beer Festival?
I think some of my I have some beers that I got from the Brewers Association, and I'm pretty sure. Oh, was it that one? I definitely drank something where I was like, oh, that's got that logo on it. So I think I did that one.
I mean, we kind of gave up on trying to redo it.
Yeah, because that one was, because we couldn't decide what we wanted to do. But that's a goal for 2024.
Well, that's it, yeah, isn't it? So yeah, there was only 3 I didn't finish. So actually, I finished 21 out of 24. So I felt pretty good about that. And then in terms of the locations, I said I wanted to go to Little Pomona, Sacred Profane, Little Earth, All Day Brewing, 360 Degrees Brewing, and Sam Adams. And I finally managed to go to Sam Adams.
Yay!
You can see me. I'm logoed out. That's why I'm drinking the winter lager.
Yeah.
I'm logoed out. I'm good to go. Happy days. And I did go to Sacred Profane as well. So I did tick off 2 places on my list. So I'm really, really happy about that. So,
and you obviously brought me something back from Sacred Profane, didn't you?
I did, and I got of course I did. I got you a dark lager, and I got myself this hat that says Cold Lager Warm Hearts on it, and on the back it says Sacred Profane. And Rick got himself an sexist, anti-racist, pro-equality beer club hat.
Nice.
And I think he got, to be fair, he is sweet, because I got this hat, I bought a bunch of beers, and then I was like, oh, they've got like the anti-sexist, anti-racist hats, and I really want it, but it's cash only. And it was it's that meme of like that little girl, like it's that Instagram reel of that girl that's like,
yeah.
It's really cute, I wish I could get it, but and he was like, I've got cash. And then he's like, I'm getting it. And he's like, I'm getting it for me. And I was like, okay. So he got it for him. And he did look for it yesterday. And he was like, where's my hat? And I was like, what do you mean your hat? And he's like, do you have my hat? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the one I bought in the US. And I was like, oh, haven't seen it. So yeah, I mean, went to the US, drank a lot of beer in the US. Hilariously, I said, what can I go and see? Like, where can I go and drink? And what can I buy that's not Trillium and Trillium and Treehouse? And ended up taking back majority of it being Trillium and Treehouse. And like, we could talk about it in another episode about like US drinking culture and myths and everything compared to, because I feel like that could be a whole separate episode compared to UK. But spoiler alert, the reason I ended up with a whole bunch coming back is because there was something in particular I needed to get you, but you could only buy it in a 4-pack. So I was like, 4 packs it is.
This is why she's my beer bestie.
And then I'm a completionist, so I was like, might as well get the set of 3. So I ended up with way more Trillium and Treehouse than I wanted. But, you know, whatever. Just, I can like flaunt it, like, look at this. Like, I wouldn't do that, but
that'd be great. I would enjoy that a lot if you did that.
What did you catch up with over your holiday break?
So let me have a quick look. Let's have a look at my drink card.
While you're opening that, my favorite part about that was of like, you know how I was like, I need to try to get Sacred Profane in, I need to do that. So I went to Sam Adams on the equivalent of our Boxing Day, because that was like I was like, starters I mean to go on. Like, if I'm hungover, which I don't really get hangovers, but if I'm hungover the day after Christmas, just get back right into it. Like, that's fine. And then I was like, I'm running out of time to go to Sacred Profane before I leave. Ended up doing that on New Year's Eve. Yeah. So I technically got all of those in. And I tried all of that I wanted to try before the new year. I was like, I did it, guys. Nice. And I really recommend Portland, Maine. I feel like that's super underrated for where to go for beers. But yeah, like New England in general is great, but you could easily do like a whole walking section of Portland, Maine. We underestimated how much was so close together. And yeah, definitely that's on my radar for the next time, is to go back up to Portland.
Right, so my drink harder challenge, I had quite a few left over, but I did drink each beer out of a mix pack. I finished my box of beers from Good Chemistry, so I did that. So I had 8 different beers from them. Excellent. I didn't drink an old favourite that I hadn't enjoyed in a while because I couldn't decide which one to do. So I just never got around to doing it. I didn't get Growlerfield. Didn't do the Reinheitsgebot one. Didn't. Oh no, I think I did drink a beer that's medalled at the Great American Beer Festival, but I can't remember which one it was.
But it wasn't Fobab, and that's the one we champion.
Yeah,
It's
because we
so
just like
bad.
that. It definitely wasn't from there. I didn't drink a whiskey drink, a vodka drink, a lager drink, and a cider drink. And we were talking about this at work
Disappointed.
the other day because my friend Tom, hi Tom, pointed out he really wanted to make me do it, and I told him absolutely not. And then we were talking about it, and we wondered if we had actually done that the night before Indie Man, because we went to several places that night. But I didn't drink a cider, so I definitely didn't do it. I may
See
have
what
had a whiskey
annoys
drink and a vodka drink. I definitely
what
had a
annoys
lager drink.
me is I think I came really close to doing that before, and I
Yeah.
was off by like one, and it might have been it was either the cider. No, it was when I got invited to that the Beer Writers Guild
Yeah.
Awards, because there was like there was a cider on the table. I had a lager. And then on the way home, I had my journey juice, as I now call it. I had my journey juice on the train because I had some time to kill. So as I said, you go into M&S and what's that? 3 for whatever on tinnies. Let's go. Got one of those, and that was definitely the vodka, or I think it was like a vodka one. But I was like, oh, I'm missing the whiskey, and I was like, I wonder if one of these were barrel aged in whiskey. Could I count that?
No. No, you may not.
But I did it intentionally, so it's fine.
Yeah. I just haven't got enough spirits in the house. I didn't get a chance to buy anyone a drink on their birthday. I don't think. Not like I remember. I may have done, but I can't remember. And I didn't drink the least expensive and most expensive drink on a menu. So
that's like the easiest one, though. But
I had to think about it, and I kept forgetting to do it when I was in places. And also, a lot of the places that I go don't necessarily have a menu.
So at the end of this episode, we're definitely gonna talk about challenges again, and if we do this again, so I think I don't think this is on. I've got a whole list of what the new drink harder challenges, and I don't think it's on that. But I feel like when we talk about potential other challenges, this needs to go back on it again, and I feel like I'm just gonna big brain it again, and just the next time, because I'm at Elusive at the weekend.
You can't. No, I don't think you can do the same thing.
Yeah, you
again.
can.
I don't.
Why not?
I feel like that can't be like if you've already done that. I don't think you can repeat it exactly the same again.
But it's like the cheat code.
No,
I'm putting in Rosebud. I'm getting all the monies. I'm building that house.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's allowed. I'm putting my foot down on that one.
If anyone knows what I just was referencing, good day. Like, that is, well, I applaud you. But yeah, I feel like that was a big brain move. Go into Elusive, you get yourself a San Pellegrino. You get yourself the most expensive beer on tap and on the menu, because this is how it works, is they have more expensive guest beers in their fridge, but those aren't all on their menu, and that says the most expensive beer on the menu.
Yeah.
You're
but
welcome.
Are you only considering what's on the wall, the menu, because they also have
it's what's on the they don't do every single thing. Yeah, they don't do every single thing in the fridge, because that would be a nightmare of maintenance.
Well, that's true. Anyway, what did I do between our last review episode and now? I stayed at home. It was lovely.
Shocked.
I know. I had 3
Was
weeks
Gordon like, who is this?
Yeah, literally. He was
Who are
like,
you?
Who's this
Get out of my
person? Why are
house.
you in my house? Yep, stayed at home. I stayed at home. It was lovely. Me and Dad went up to London at one point, and I thought I might have got to try try a favourite that you haven't had in a while, because I was going to see if we could get to a Samuel Smith's pub and see if I could get one of their fruit beers, because that's one of like the first beers that I really enjoyed. I had them funnily enough, I had them in Alaska. But their raspberry wheats are really lovely. So I was like, oh, maybe if I can get to a Sam Smith's pub, I could get one of those. But we weren't near any of them. But we went to so I didn't do that. But we went to the V&A, and we went and saw the
you did say
Diva
that.
fashion exhibition, which was great. And visited family a little bit. But basically I stayed at home, and some of my favourite things that I did while I was at home was having a bath with a bath bomb, and listening to my audiobook while I was in the bath with the bath bomb. Had a face mask on. Like, I highly recommend this. You could also do it with a beer. Like,
I've
bath
done that with a
bomb,
beer.
face mask, audiobook, beer. That sounds amazing. That's a really good restart to the year, isn't it?
I've done it where I've gone like I'm gonna have like my laptop,
Yeah.
not obviously in the bath, but like to the side on a stand
Yeah.
where it's like I'm gonna put on a Netflix show. It's like the problem is, I'll tell you what the problem is for me, Joe.
Okay.
I love that. That all sounds amazing in principle, like in theory, all of it,
Yeah.
like all of it. I love the idea of a nice warm bath with a bath, like visually and how it sounds great. Top tier, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The reality of when I tried to execute that plan, I don't think I actually like it as much as I like the idea of it. So because my tub's quite deep.
Fair.
My
Yeah.
tub's quite deep, so I feel like it takes ages to actually fill up, and you have to have it on like scalding hot so that it's actually hot when you get in it, and that's not the cheapest thing ever to run that much water,
You don't do
and
that
it's hot.
often. It's a treat.
I know it's a treat, but then I get in there and I go, it's really hot, and it takes me forever to get in it because it's really hot. And then I get in it and I go, bored this now. And then I go,
Okay.
I go a bit sweaty, and now I'm like, I've got to sit here for a bit just so I feel like I got the most of what I've just paid for, like in terms of like monetary value of the water, but like my time as well. Like I have to pay for my time that I just wasted, and I'm like, I guess I'll sit here for a bit, and then I try to listen to music, and I go, fuck it, I'm done.
I have two things here. So I have two things here. If you're going to have a bath, this is why I only have a bath every now and then. If you're going to have a bath, you've got to be in there for a significant amount of time.
I know.
Which is why I put an audiobook on, because I'm sat there, I'm listening to my audiobook, I'm enjoying it. That's why I do that. And that's why I have a nice bath bomb. My current favourite is the Black Rose from Lush, because when you put it in, you get like proper goth colours. It's like black and glitter and purple and beautiful. It smells great. It's bubbly. Like,
that's
I love
another one though.
Right.
You just said glitter, and I had those bathrooms, and I love that. Do you know what the bath looks like when that water drains? So I've basically just gone, de-stress, get in this bath, force yourself in the soup for like 20 minutes minimum.
Okay.
Then you get out of it, and then you go, now I have to clean. That's more work.
Okay, so this is my second thing. As I said, there were two things. My second thing, I suggest to you instead a shower steamer.
I'm on board with that, and I've bought shower steamers. I've got that.
Shower steamer. Listeners, if you've not had a shower steamer, it's like a bath bomb, but you don't clean yourself with it. It goes in the corner of your shower, the hot water hits it and it disintegrates, and it puts lovely plumes of wonderful smelling steam into your shower, which are very nice and relaxing. Shower steamers may be your thing.
I mean, I've got a question for you now that we're talking about this idea of aromas. How many infuser sticks do you put in a diffuser?
In a diffuser?
Yeah, like, do you know like a bathroom diffuser?
Yeah.
Like, you want it to smell nice. How many sticks do you put in that diffuser?
All the ones that come with it.
I didn't know that. I thought you put one.
If it comes with like.
I thought they were refills. You're talking
about the reeds, right? That you put in it. You put all of them in.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, Joanne.
Why? Why didn't you?
Because it's open to interpretation. It's open to interpretation. Sure. It was like, when you do this, these are designed to do this. It doesn't say like, now put them all in. It's quite misleading, if I'm being honest.
Okay, so the sticks are not what makes the aroma. It's the oil that's in the bottle.
Yeah, right? I know. But the more sticks apparently means the more aromas. Yes. I didn't know that. I thought it was going to probably be the same amount of aromas, whether I put 5 sticks or 1 stick. I didn't know the average was around 6 to 10 sticks. And then my in-laws came round, took the absolute piss out of me about it. They've taken that. My brother-in-law's the one that called it out. He came out and I was like, oh, you're just outing yourself as middle class. And I'm sorry that I'm not middle class enough to know how many reeds you put in a diffuser. I am sorry that is, I'm not in the upper echelon. That's on me. I apologize. And then I was like, you know what? I'm removing it from the downstairs bathroom and no one gets to look at it anymore. I'm taking my ball home and no one's playing anymore. I'm going.
The dummy out.
Yeah.
How have we got on to read diffusers?
I don't know, because you said about the aromas, and I was like, this is a burning question that I have to ask you.
Okay, I get you. Well, I think that's our best tangent ever.
Well, and I mean, if anything, it's just outed me for the fact that I'm not middle class enough for anyone.
I love
but
it.
Yeah, there you go. I thought I was being economical.
But yeah, so I had baths. I had a couple of baths. Going back to the actual topic, I've started journaling.
Oh yeah, we were just discussing this.
We were just talking about this before we started recording because Tori, Powell and I have gone around and just given everybody our money in January. And I got some journaling subscriptions and a lovely tote bag for my things. I mean, I'm a creative person. I've done a bit of journaling before, but I feel like 2024 I want to do slower, cozy hobbies to complement my beer drinking hobby. I'm going to journal. I want to read more. I'm going to learn tarot, learn a bit more about the tarot because I've been using it for a long time, but I want to consolidate my knowledge. And so I've been doing cozy, slow things.
I like
journaling, reading, learning the tarot cards.
Baths.
That's what I've been doing. Baths with my audiobook. I put the audiobook on while I'm cooking.
I do that when I'm walking the dog, but my problem is the audiobook that I'm listening to at the moment, I need to make notes on. So like when it's really cold, like it was today, and I was listening to it and I needed to make a note, my hand was like, and I couldn't do it.
I did start a tarot book on audio and I stopped listening to it and bought the book because I was just like, no, I want to be able to reference this when I'm doing my studies, so I stopped doing that.
I will say I do recommend Audible because you can just make notes on it and then you can go back and it will take you to the exact section and play it again for you, which is quite nice. I really enjoyed that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I looked up, I had a similar mindset to you. I was like, I need something that's like a nice hobby to go with like a nice, I like that, your description of cozy. I play a lot of like, I watch slice of life animes. I play what's called cozy games where it's just like, you know, walk around, you're a farmer today. Like I'm like, I just need to tend my fields, guys. Like that type of stuff. And I looked at cross stitching.
Oh yeah.
I bought stuff before for cross stitching, but then I just never committed to it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it. I just never, my problem is, and this is probably maybe something you can help me tackle here. We can do this together. My problem is I have lots of different hobbies.
Yeah, same.
I never make time. I can't make time for them all and beer. So it's like board games, as you can see behind me if you're watching the video. Loads of them. Love it. I've got a ukulele now, and that's great. I like reading. I like video games. I want to cross stitch. There's just no time to do all the things, and that is my problem. How do you balance your time? Because I just feel like I just can't balance my time with work and then going out and then
so this is also my problem, which is why I've been like, right, I'm focusing this year. I'm going to journal, like, because you can do that at the end of the day, a little bit at the end of the day, or I can do a little bit at the weekend. I could do it while I'm watching the telly with Gordon, do it while I've got the audiobook going, like and with tarot I'm going to do some studies on it, but also I'm using it, I'm pulling a card every day to see what my day, like what I need to know for the day, but I'm also pairing it with beer. So I'm like pulling a card and using it to help me choose what beer I'm going to drink from my stash. And I'm also I'm reading. That is great for my commute to work and when I'm traveling. And I'm also, when I finish a book, I'm now going to pair it with a beer.
I like that.
Like, this is a beer from my stash I think goes with this book. So yeah, that's how I'm doing that. I've just focused on the ones I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm also learning German. I do it on Duolingo. Like, they want you to do like
that owl judges you hard.
Right, they want you to do loads of minutes every day. No, my goal is to do a German lesson every day. I just do one lesson every day, and then I'm making progress. I'm doing one every day.
I like to think that you're doing it because you're like, I'm making progress. I'm doing it every day because I'm like, I can't lose that streak freeze. I'm 500 deep. I am not that I can't afford to lose this. And then the owl comes up and I'm like, don't judge me. Like, it's like, you're running out of time. And I'm like, ugh. calm down. Know your place, man. Give me a break.
I nearly lost my streak freeze when I was in Germany. I nearly lost my streak because I used up both of my freezes.
I'd pay for them at that point.
God.
I would pay for them. I'm not going to lie to you. I would pay for them.
So it turned around to me and it was like, if you do these 5 lessons, we'll give you your streak back. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do 5 lessons today. And I got my streak back, so it was fun.
I can't be doing that. That's the thing, is once this streak goes and I've just thrown 500 plus like lessons out the window, that I would scorched earth, burn it to the ground. I am never studying Japanese ever again. That was the end of my Japanese lessons, right. Or at least on Duolingo, because I'd be like, no, I'm good. But yeah, that's another thing I got to make time for, is like lessons like that. I just
so I do
writing.
That at the end of the day, like I do it when I get home at night. I do my German lesson, which actually, interestingly, I tend to forget to do it at the weekend because I haven't been like, well, I've come home. I'm gonna.
It's not that routine
because I'm out of that routine at the weekend. I keep missing it. One thing that I said I wanted to do more is, and I said this last year as well, that I want to do more drawing, and I was like, I'm going to draw once a week. We're 3 weeks in now? I haven't done any drawing.
Can you do like 3 drawings in a row, and then you're like, well, that makes up for the last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm teetering on the maybe that one's not going to happen, and that's okay.
Well, that's okay, because I think that if you wanted it to happen, you would make it happen.
And my creativity is coming out in my journaling, so it's different.
Or maybe that could be you've got your weekday stuff. Maybe that could be a weekend, wake up, have a bit of a doodle while you're having coffee, and there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think if you really wanted it to happen, it sounds like from that you'll make it happen, because you'll really want to do it enough that you'll make that time.
Yeah. I think there's other things I want to do. But that's the thing, you've got to pick the things that you really want to prioritise on. And that's how you end up doing the things you want.
I think 50% of the time, there's all these things that I want to do, and my brain thinks they're great to do them. And then I'm like, I just can't. Like, I'm so drained by the end of, like, especially if I've been working late or whatever. And by the end of the day, I'm like, I wanted to basically, for me, I wanted to kind of change this habit where I go to bed. I wanted to go to bed a little bit earlier than normal, and that's including, like, if I go to bed and I play video games for a bit or watch something on TV, like, I want to go to bed even a little bit earlier than that, so I can settle in and even just read for a half hour. But what I find that I do, and it's not really a healthy thing, is I kind of like get into bed and I'll be like, oh, let me just look at my phone for like 20 that would have been time that I would have been reading, but I'm like, let me look at my phone for a bit, let me have a little bit faff around this, let me look on, online shopping and this, that, the other thing, life admin. And then I'm like, I could have been reading a book with that, and now it's too late and I'm too tired. I can't be doing it anymore.
Audiobooks have been my saviour. They really have, because I can put them on in the car. I listen to it while I'm waiting to get a flight.
Same.
Put it on in the kitchen while I'm cooking. Like, I'm optimising my time with those, and it's something that I'm enjoying doing, and it means I get to read more, which makes me happy, because sitting down and having the opportunity to read, I don't have a lot of time for that. I'm starting to find more of it. Like, I actually read a couple of ebooks on my Kindle in the last year, and I was like, whoop. And I'm currently reading, like, Gordon bought me Jager Wise's Wild Brews book for Christmas. So I'm currently trying to read through that as well. So reading a physical book, yay, haven't done that in ages. But audiobooks help you maximize your time, and it is real reading. Don't let anybody tell you it isn't.
Oh, it definitely is. I think as long as you're actually taking in the information, as long as you don't just have it on as background and you're tuning it out, like, if you're actually taking it in,
reading a really good book at the minute. I'm actually quite, and so with the reading as well, I can, like, I know what books I like. I'll pick ones I like, but also I like to sometimes be like, I'm going to join this book club and have something picked for me differently. And so there is, I am in, she says she's going to go find it. I think it's Craft Beer Girls, which is the American group. And they have, on Facebook, they have a beer and books group.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And they pick a book every month. And January's one is, it's Thriller January.
Ooh.
And the vote came out as The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I'm really enjoying it. It's set in the 80s. It's about a caregiver She's not a nurse, she's a caregiver. And she gets sent to look after this elderly woman who, it turns out, well, everyone in the town thinks that this elderly woman murdered her parents and her sister.
Oof.
And it's this whole kind of story about didn't she? What other intrigue is there? Because she was like born in like the 1920s, like she was alive in the 1920s. And now, because the book's set in the 80s, and like, like I probably wouldn't have picked it up myself, but I'm really glad I'm reading it because it's really good. Not quite got to the end yet, so.
I was to say, you put it out to like on your Facebook as well, of like people recommend me books, and yeah, I recommend you a book. I recommend you a book that I think you wouldn't pick that out yourself, but it was an incredibly compelling read. Like, I really enjoyed the read myself, so I was like, TBR. So that's good. I'm reading Girly Drinks at the moment. Well, listening, audiobooking Girly Drinks. So watch the space. Maybe we'll be book clubbing. We don't know.
Yeah,
we
might
see.
Book clubbing.
We'll see. In terms of like Tryanuary, so I know we want to talk about Tryanuary. I probably don't have a lot really to say from my perspective, because I feel like I've not done anything that's outside of the norm when it comes to Tryanuary, because I feel like I'm always quite adventurous, and when I go, oh, that sounds nice, I'll try that, or I want to go here, I want to try this brewery because I've not heard of that before. Like, I don't, and I think you're the same. I'm not suggesting you're not the same, but you know, I think it's something that, like, for me, Tryanuary just feels like I treat every month like Tryanuary, and I haven't really had a lot of time, to be fair, to go and do that kind of stuff these last few weeks, because it's been a lot of work heavy stuff. But I don't really have anything to report, but I know you've done some Tryanuary bits. What have you been up to for Tryanuary?
Well, I looked at things, and like, people are doing Tryanuary boxes, and I was like, that's cool, but I've got a lot of beer in the house already. What can I do? And then I was like, oh, I was in Manchester for work, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll see if I can get to a bottle shop while I'm in Manchester and see if I can pick up something from like a local brewery that I haven't tried before, or see if there's a local brewery that I haven't had anything from. Let's have a look. So I ended up going to Beer Moth.
Right, okay, cool.
And so they've got the cafe and they've got the bottle shop. So I went to the bottle shop, and I went through all the breweries in their local fridges, and I had at least one beer from all of them.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Manchester's like such a Manchester's such like a happening place for beer that, like, I thought you were going to say I found this, and I was like, how have you managed to find something you haven't tried?
I was like, yeah, I'm going to find like a local brewery that I've never had anything from before, and I was like, had it like track.
It is interesting though, isn't it? Because I think that there's a whole
Pomona.
There's always like because I think when you go to places like that, you go, oh, we know all the big names, like it's really obvious. We know that there's so much great beer here or whatever, that you just expect, half the time you expect I'm going to go and I'm not going to find anything new, and then you just find like this tiny like micro brewery that you're like, oh, no one's like this distribution's not wide enough, or
that's what I was hoping for, and I did not find it. Apparently I've drunk a lot of Manchester beer, guys. Which was fine. That was fine. But there were beers there that I hadn't had before, and some breweries, so there were European breweries that I hadn't had before. So I grabbed Lantern from L'Hermitage, and I was like, oh yes, we're having that. I also grabbed Dietrich from Schniel, which is a German brewery. If you've ever seen their labels, they've got like a white snowy ale across the label, and I saw they signed up for an International Women's Collaboration Brew Day a few years back, and I was like, ooh, their beers look interesting, and I've been wanting to try one of those for ages, so I was like, definitely having one of those, and I got a Bretted Berliner Weiss from them. I've had beers from Runaway Brewery before. They're a Manchester brewery. I've had beers from them before, but they had a winter saison in from them.
Oh,
and I was like,
that's beautiful.
I have not tried that before, so I'm going to try that. And then I got a beer from Duck Pond in Sweden. It's called Darkwing, and it's a blackcurrant goes.
Oh, that sounds interesting. That
And I was
sounds
like,
nice.
not had something from them before.
Delish.
That sounds delicious. We will have those. So
I feel like I've heard of duck ponds.
I don't know if I have.
I'm going to Google now because I feel like I've heard of that.
But yeah, so that's what I picked for my Tryanuary picks. I also got both of us a Bellini mead from Superstition.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I thought you'd be excited by that. So
I'm definitely excited by that. I mean, like, yeah, no, you're right. There's like a lot of places do these like Tryanuary boxes or just Tryanuary things. Like I know like a hoppy place does. Like they've got like a really cool thing that's kind of more or less they did bingo I think last year, and this year it's kind of more like a trail where it's like try all these different, and it tends to be like different styles of beer. And once you do all like, if you get all of it, they'll be like, oh, you've got a prize, but I think you have to be like the first person to do it or something. But I think that's just like a really cool idea for like a bottle shop to do, or like a business to do.
And I was like, I wanted to go to a bottle shop. I wanted to support that independent business, you know, like that local business. So yeah, I enjoyed going and have a little browse in there. Great selection in there. You could also sit in and drink beer as well. So, you know, if you're in the area, go check that out. Speaking of beer styles, not necessarily for Tryanuary, but I said one of my goals, if you listened to our end of year wrap up, was to try lots more, because we looked at our Untapped stats and it tells you how many styles you didn't try. So I was like, right, I'm going to look at what the styles are and I'm going to see how many different, like if I can top that number this year. So did a bit of a U and got really geeky about it, and I've done a spreadsheet.
Excellent. Love a good spreadsheet. Project manager, love a good spreadsheet.
All of the Untapped beer styles. So there's 270 that they list.
That is there's got to be an easier way to have done that as well. There's got to be an API somewhere that you can grab and
I literally
get all
just
that.
went through and typed them out. And also you can't look at them on the website, you have to do it on the app. So I had the app open and then was typing them into my spreadsheet. Now that 270 does include cider styles, mead styles, and hard seltzer. And hard kombucha, I think, as well. So it's not just beers, but I've got all of them in a spreadsheet. And as I am checking in beers, I am saying that I'm then working out the beer styles and whether I've tried them. I've also noted whether I've ever had that beer style before and how many I've had before. So, for example...
That's worse than me. That is worse than me.
Ordinary bitter... I've had 169 different ones.
Nice.
Australian sparkling ale, I've had one.
That's like so oddly specific.
Right. That some of these are very specific, right? So I've started.
That's like what, like there. One. There's like one in history that's like, I'm an Australian sparkling beer. Okay.
I'm just a.
That is genuinely...
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I've already tried 22 different beer styles this year.
Genuinely, that is... You cannot take the piss out of me anymore. No, that is like way more nerdy than I am.
Like, I am going in hardcore beer nerd on this.
Whereas, so right? I'm... And this is where we're like really good at being contrasting here, because I'm... As much as I love a good bit of organization in that aspect, and like I like having everything like very clearly organized, so I can find stuff. It's like, for me, the spreadsheets are to kind of help me find what I'm looking for. For me, though, I'm the opposite in that I kind of like... I'm chaos. Like, let's be real.
You are chaos.
I am chaos. In D&D, I am like chaotic neutral, like full on chaotic good. Let's say chaotic good, but it leans towards neutral. I'm very just like, I kind of love chaos. I thrive in chaos. And for me, I'm like, I kind of don't want to know. I just want to know at the end of the year how much. Like, for me, it will be a fun surprise to be like, how many different styles? I'm like, for me, how many different styles did I inadvertently have? And I think like that to me is way more fun than being organized with it. No, of like, I'm gonna have all the. You're like, I want to tick these off. I'm like, I want to see how much I can do naturally by mistake.
I want to tick them off. I want to be like, what do I need to go in search of? What do I need to go find? So I've started it, guys.
I love that. I love.
Let me know if you want to follow me on my
You need to make a graphic. You need to make a graphic. You need to make like a bingo thing where you like have like a dobber and you just dob every.
I need to be like, I feel like I need to be like videoing myself, like filling in the spreadsheet and stuff, and be like, guys, we're now at this one. Like, I feel some reels coming on.
Bingo dobber it. That's the way I'd handle that. That is great.
Interestingly, I have bought some lovely dobber pens.
Of course you have.
For my journaling.
Of course you have.
Because then you can use the different colours for your habit trackers and things. So
standard,
this space, guys.
Standard stuff. I'm expecting bingo dobbering of like all of your styles, and you're like, I did it, bingo. I've got it all on whole sheet. Well, before we kind of talk a little bit more in terms of like anything else you want to talk about with resetting, I think we probably want to reset our brains and remember for anyone that needs a refresh on how to taste beer, because you were talking about how you were doing some beer tasting the other day and you were talking to other people that were doing beer tasting, and we haven't done a lot of beer tasting process tips and tricks and all that fun stuff in quite a while. So instead of making people go back to listen to it, shall we do just like a really quick crash course for people? Because it's a nice, good like re-baselining for people. I think
should we have the next beer for it?
Yeah, it feels like the right timing for that. I've got one of two, but I don't know which one. I kind of know which one I'm leaning towards, but I'll let you make the final decision. Okay. So I have, because we were talking about Tryanuary, and they just did a post today about Tryanuary. I think they're doing discounts at the moment, but by the time this comes out, maybe not. Mysterious Brewing's Cryptic Biscuit, and that's their Biscoff Stout. And I kind of really want to have that, especially because I want to make sure, part of like what I want to make sure I'm doing in the new year is I want to be drinking through as much stuff as possible. I want to try to buy less volume to have at home. I'd rather have it more out and about with people and less buying stuff at home, because I end up now going out a lot more and I don't want to waste really good beer. So that's kind of helping me towards that goal. But what's potentially helping me towards my goal of clearing out some of the older stash cupboard, I've got this.
Oh my goodness!
The beer.
You've got the beer. I don't want you to drink that. I want you to wait and drink that when I come round.
That's because you're like, I don't want you to drink that because I also want to have it.
Because I want you to drink it with me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the famous Buxton Omnipolo. Like, it's the new marketing on it.
That.
Yeah, they had like 3 or 4 at the Hive, and I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna get that. Speaking of that, I got the piss taken out of me while I was at Suds and Soda. So if we're talking about Tryanuary, I went to a new location. I got to go to Suds and Soda because there's my business has an office up in Derby. That's like right down the road from it. So we went there, and I'm just sat there having a conversation, and I look over at the fridges, and I notice the top of a bottle that I was like, I know exactly what that is. Of course, it was Bourbon County. 2021 Bourbon County. And I immediately went, excuse me 1 minute. And I stood up. Because I was like, my nightmare is somebody is going to come to that fridge and grab it before I get a chance to get it before we head out. So it's like, I was like literally there mid-conversation. I did like a look over, and then I did a double take because my brain processed what I had just seen. And I went, excuse me 1 minute. And I just stood up, got the beer, and they were like laughing at me. They're like, what are you even doing? And they were like, I'm guessing that's good. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's very rare. So I guess that's made my decision. I'll have the Cryptic Biscuit because it's nice. I think that one will probably continue to age a bit better than this one will. So
I promise I'll drink it with you when I come round. So.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
Yeah,
Thank
I know.
you.
I'm
you're nothing but you're benevolent.
You're my bestie.
You're so sweet.
I help you out with these things. So I've got, look at this beauty.
I thought it was a wine bottle for a second as you were pulling that out.
A wax sealed jobber here. It's only 500ml though. It's from Algarve Rock in Portugal.
Yeah.
It's called Espirito Salvagem. Is a wild ale, and it says it has been aged in 18 months in French oak Tori Jo Nacional Reserva casks, and it has taken on wild earthy notes from naturally occurring yeasts. They've got lambic Brettanomyces in it, which offers subtle notes of pineapple and balsamic reduction.
Oh, there you go. You and that balsamic.
Yes,
You love it.
All right. Talking to you as if you're someone who has never drunk beer.
I'm literally gonna talk to me like I'm a caveman. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a little bit more knowledge than a caveman. Let's fast forward thousands of years, but talk to me like I don't know what I'm doing.
So you got your beer. First thing you want to do, you must have a glass. Do you have a glass?
Excellent. I have a glass.
Excellent. I mean, it doesn't matter what glass you have. If all you've got is, a wine glass or a tumbler or something like that, that's fine. But if you're beer tasting, you should always pour your beer into a glass. It allows the carbonation to release. It allows aroma to release. Lets all the good stuff come out. Like when they let wine breathe. It's the same with beer. Like if you're just hanging out, want to drink your beer, do as you please. But if you want to taste it, got to put it in a glass. So we have our glass.
I recommend a stemmed glass. As a person that doesn't know anything, at all whatsoever, I just on gut feel say I recommend a stemmed glass because it feels fancy.
Yeah, because it makes you feel fancy. And you know what? The added bonus of a stemmed glass is your hand heat is not directly on the beer, so it keeps it at a good temperature.
Although, again, as a person that knows nothing for this, I might want that because mine is a bit cold.
This is the thing. So you are drinking a stout. It's a darker beer. You want that temperature to be slightly lower to release all the complex flavors. So it is a good idea to work out what sort of temperature your beer should be served at. Paler beers should be colder, but we don't want them ice cold because that's going to lock in all of the aroma and the flavour. You're not going to get it. It's also going to dull your senses. And so you want it a little bit warmer than ice cold. A pale ale, a craft beer pale ale, usually served around 3 degrees Celsius. A stout, you want to go a bit warmer. But also, as we have said previously, sometimes you can, if you get your stout out and you leave it, and because usually they're slightly higher ABV, you can sip on it and you can see those changes as it gradually warms up. So that's fun as well. So
I prefer that. I like from the nerdier side. I like that because I like to
go. As a person who knows nothing about it.
As a person that knows nothing, maybe that is kind of what I think that if I knew things about beer, that's what I would like to do.
Yeah.
For fun.
All right, so we're going to pour our beer into our glass. I'd like to tilt mine at 45 degrees and let the beer run down the side of it. And then straighten it once you're about halfway full. Because then you get a nice head on your beer. You do want a nice head on your beer because it allows it keeps the aroma in, which you want to be released as you're drinking. Because flavour is taste plus aroma. Because taste is a sensation. Flavour is what we're really getting from everything. All right, so I always start my beer tasting. I start by looking at my beer, taking in what it looks like. So actually, I'm quite surprised. Mine's quite a nice amber colour. It's not got a massive head on it. The head's quite low, but it's kind of white and foamy. It's got big fat carbonation bubbles in it. What does yours look like?
Mine is dark, like quite a dark brown. Like I think... The best way to describe it, if I was describing it as a person that didn't know anything, to be fair, this is genuinely, if I had to describe this to a person that like didn't know specific like beer terms or anything, I'd say like think about like a Diet Coke or a Coke or whatever, and that's kind of how I describe it. It's quite a dark colour, but like a little bit brown sort of around the edges if you were to hold it up to the light like that.
And you want to think about the clarity of your beer, like how clear is it? If it's dark, you might not be able to see the clarity of it. You can put a torch or a flashlight behind it, or the flashlight on your phone behind it. Sometimes that's quite cool when you've got a very dark beer because you can see if it's got like a coloured highlight behind it. Yeah.
Nope.
No, you can't see it.
It is
pretty dark. I mean, sometimes they are quite thick, especially because yours is a Biscoff one, so I should think it'd be quite a thick one.
Although, actually, it looks like there's quite a surprising red highlight to that. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
because I was worried for a minute. I had to move it round because I was worried
the
for a minute that, as we discussed the other night, that it might be my
light on
mic.
the
So I had to kind of do
microphone?
that before.
Yeah.
That was very surprising because I didn't expect it to have that type of bright, like very ruby red color
So
behind
sometimes,
that.
even though they're very dark, I mean, on first glance, you can't see through them. They can actually have, like, can be quite clear. They can have an interesting color going through them. You might want to
I had to
look
look like I had to look to go. It's not, my phone's not red anywhere on it. It is not. I just proof if you're watching the video.
So both of ours tonight haven't really got much head on them. I mean, mine's a wild ale, so that's not a surprise. Yours is a stout. That's not always a surprise. But sometimes you want to, like, take a look at the head. Have you got a nice thick foamy head? Is it moussey? Is it barely there? Like, things like that. And I also describe the carbonation, because that will help you think about how carbonated it's going to be when you drink it. We do drink with our eyes as well as all of our other senses. You're looking at how appetizing that beer looks to you. Don't be deceived, though, because we love a white stout. We love a black IPA. Those colours are going to say something to your brain. Like, you think of a pale ale, you think it's going to be these fruity flavours. You think of a dark beer, it's going to be chocolate and roasty and things like that. If you've got a black IPA, you're going to get that resinous, pine, juicy fruit sometimes from them, which will be unexpected. So you have got to keep an open mind.
It's my favourite part of it. So mine did pour with a head. It poured with like quite a coffee coloured sort of head, like a cocoa-y looking colour, but it fizzed away quite quickly. And I'm looking sort of around the edges, and I'm going to hazard a guess based on looking at this as a person that's taken a wild guess, that there might be a fair bit of carbonation, more than I would expect from a stout, because I'm sort of, the way it kind of fizzed away, I was like, oh, it looks a little bit carbonated.
Yeah.
And as I'm looking around the edges, I can see some really fast moving, quite small carbonation bubbles sort of all around the edge. And again, like, if I were to describe it to a person that doesn't really know like beer terms, and to try to liken it to something they knew, again, I feel like that it doesn't sound appealing in terms of like beer tasting notes, but like, again, like that Diet Coke or that Coke, where you have like that carbonation that you can kind of see around the edges a bit, like that is very similar to kind of what I'm seeing. So
there you go. Right. Once I've assessed the appearance, I go in for the aroma. Now, you might want to think back to when you first opened the beer, because aroma molecules can be quite volatile. So when you first open that can or bottle, there might have been like a spritz of aroma. Think about that. And then we're going to literally smell our beer. Now, there are different ways that you can do this. Obviously, you can just stick your nose in front of it and have a sniff. See what sort of things you get. But there are lots of layers to the aroma of your beer. So you want to think about how you can get those different layers. So for really top level, you can do one of our favorites, the drive-by. So
I just love the name. It's my favorite.
You love this one. Take your glass, and you're literally going to pass it side to side under your nose. Breathe it in as you do it, and then you will get the top notes of the aroma. I've got balsamic vinegar and pineapple.
Just getting a lot of like chocolate.
Lovely. So that's your top layer. That's going to be like the very first aroma you can get. But there's going to be more depth in there. You can then go, now, I've probably filled mine a little bit too high. I'm going to have some problems with this. I might just take a little sip.
Oh, you do the me where you go in for the smell and it just gets on your nose and you go,
get up your nose. Get up your nose. Right, so you can put your nose in it and take lots of little short sniffs like a bloodhound.
I love that description. I don't think I've heard you use that description before.
It's new to my repertoire.
I'm channeling my inner Phelan when I go.
Yep, that's it. A little sniff.
I tried to make that as audible as possible, but I also didn't want to get it up my nose.
In mine, I'm getting proper barnyard. Ooh.
I do think I actually get... I am getting that like biscuity, biscuity in the sense of like cookie biscuit, like
nice. There's another way where you can
roasty.
You can. Tori likes to call this one the trombone, where you smell it and then you pull it away quickly. So you breathe in.
It is a trombone, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm really struggling to get an aroma, I'll do that, because then you get a deep one, but you pull it away, so you're moving it. Classic, like the one if you really want to find out what's happening in your glass, this is a really good way of doing it, is the cover and swirl. So you're going to cover the top of your glass, you're going to swirl it, that's going to release the aroma, but it's trapped under your hand. You then want to bring it up to your nose, remove your hand and take a deep sniff.
This is when you really can't have it too filled.
Yeah, and I've just splashed it all over my hand. So you,
me too.
when you're sampling beer, only fill it a little bit. We always fill it up because we want to take nice photos.
I need to wipe it off my hand now. It's going to get sticky.
There's something interesting in mine, and I can't work out what it is. It's woody, I think.
I feel like mine feels very straightforward. Like it is roasty chocolate. Biscuit, and then I would almost argue like I get a bit of vanilla.
Yeah.
Like when I go to smell it, like hand, I did the swirl and sniff, and then sometimes I'll keep my hand kind of there to block out the other things. And I think as part of that, I've got a bit of vanilla, but I'm not sure if that's kind of more kind of going along with the biscuit side of things than it is actually vanilla, if that makes sense.
I think I'm getting a bit of Flint in mine as well.
Interesting.
Mine is a wild ale,
tasting note.
so it's got some interesting things in it, I think, this one. Right, so that's the different ways that you can get the aroma of your beer.
Get those aromas.
Finally, we're on to the best bit. We're going to drink it. So we're going to assess the taste and the flavour. So taste are sensations. So it's like how it feels in your mouth, what the carbonation feels like in your mouth. But to get the flavour, that is a combination of taste and aroma. So there's two different parts to breathe in, getting that aroma. There's orthonasal and retronasal. So orthonasal is what we've just done. It's just breathing it in through your nose. Then there's retronasal. Now, wine tasters, they'll spit the wine out. With beer, we want to swallow it. That's helping us to experience the carbonation because it's passing it across our palate. It also means that it passes where your nose connects to your throat, and those aroma molecules are going to move up your nose and come back out the other way. I had someone the other day go, "What, the beer comes back out the other way?" No, the beer is not going up your nose.
It's not like when you laugh so hard and milk comes out your nose or something like that.
The aroma molecules are going to, they move because it's all connected. It moves back up your nose, and that's retronasal. And with that movement, you're getting more of that aroma. It's combining with the sensations in your mouth, and your brain connects all that together and goes, "Oh, that's this flavour." Because like strawberry's not a taste. Strawberry's a flavour.
Yeah.
So there's, acidity, and there's the sweetness of the strawberry aroma. All of that comes together to make strawberry in your brain, for example. So you're going to swallow it. You're going to feel how it is in your mouth. Is it heavy? Is it thin? Is it light? Is it highly carbonated? Is it tart? Is it sour? Is it sweet? Is it salty? All of those different things you're going to get when you swallow it, and then you'll start getting the flavour from the aromas as well. Should we taste it and see what
So when I'm asking as a person that doesn't know what I'm doing,
Yes.
when I take a sip out of this, is there anything, do I just straight up drink it like normal? Is there anything I want to do specifically, or do I just literally want to straight up drink it?
I wouldn't chug it. You want to take a nice sip, make sure it gets all around your mouth, and you're going to swallow it.
I want to swirl it around like I would with wine tasting properly?
I mean, you can just drink it. You don't have to, but you definitely want to get it around your mouth so you get the sensations. I wouldn't shush it around your mouth like that.
Chew it. You don't want to be chewing it.
Like the proper wine tasters, move it from cheek to cheek and really.
I quite like that way you've described that. Shush it.
Shush it. I didn't know what was a good word for it. But you're gonna release the carbonation, then you're gonna lose it. You want to swallow it so you feel the sensation of the carbonation going across your palate as you're swallowing it. So you don't want to move it all around like that, but you do want to.
Well, now I know.
Also, I feel like one of our top tips is sometimes when you drink a beer, the first sip, you want to probably get about 3 sips in
before you start making
it. It calibrates your palate. It, make sure that your palate is picking up all the different things. So,
case in point, when we did the Oregon Trails and we had the up to the normal one, the double, the triple, and I'm, bitterness, I'm quite sensitive to bitterness.
Yeah.
Hence why like West Coast historically have never just been my favorite. I remember I had the first sip of the triple Oregon, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is so big. Like I was like, this is a lot. And then I sort of like about 5 or 6 sips in, I was like, oh, I'm used to this now, and I quite like it.
And then you start getting the other layers, the complex layers of it. So you do have to.
And it kind of became moorish because I was like, I kind of want a bit more now because that is like I'm used to it now.
So one sip is not enough. You've got to do several sips. Right. Shall we sip?
Let's give it a go.
Cheers. Oh. So mine's a little bit thin. Not terribly so, but it is a wild ale, so that's not a surprise for it to be thinner. It's not as carbonated as I thought it was going to be from the carbonation bubbles that I saw in the bottle and in the glass. It's got a lot going on. It's woody, it's earthy. There's a bit of vinegary tartness. There's definitely a bit of pineapple in there. Getting Brett, getting Barnyard. Like there's a lot going on this, and I've had a couple of sips already while we've been talking, so my palate is already warming up to these things. Like as I drink this, more interesting things are going to come from it.
So I've just had like the first sip, and for me that was the first sip, and it was definitely thinner. There was very noticeable carbonation levels, which obviously like when you have a stout, like you don't always tend to assume that there's going to be that noticeable carbonation. Quite heavy roastiness, with like a low but noticeable like bitterness, but almost like a coffee bitterness.
Okay.
So yeah, no, it's pretty good. I don't have the biscuit just yet, but I think it's because I've only had one sip. So I'm going to take a few more sips. I'll let you keep chatting. I'll keep sipping.
Shall I share our favourite tasting technique? This one takes practice, everyone.
I'm like, oh, I know exactly which one this one's going to be. Yeah.
This one, right? So this is a slightly more advanced technique, everybody. So prepare yourself.
Which I never do myself. I don't.
I do this when I can't get something. When I feel like there's something in there that I want to get out of a beer and I can't get it. Like this will gets you right in there. So I'm going to describe it first because it's very easy for you to spit your beer out with this one.
It's definitely not that. It's definitely not like if you just had like a person that's never done it, like is new to that whole situation. You were just like, all right, give it a go. I could see how it would be slightly challenging. Yeah,
it could be funny to do this with your mates. So right, you want to hold your nose, pinch your nose closed. You're going to swallow a little bit of beer. So you'll sip a bit, you'll swallow it, and then let go of your nose and breathe out. So that's where it's complicated, you see. So you've got to have beer in your mouth, pinch your nose closed, swallow, let go and breathe out. So you've got to swallow, let go and breathe out. Don't do all of that at once because that is when it is going to come back up your nose.
And it's particularly hard, I would say, as a person with a nose ring because you're like, where do I pit? And like, and the worst part is if I've got the hoop, and that is arguably even worse because it's like not just in one spot on the nose, it is the whole inside. When I go to pinch it, if you don't go far enough back, it doesn't really cover your nose. If you go too far forward, like it is just it's a nightmare. And then you're like squishing the ring, and you're like that kind of doesn't feel good. So buyer beware if you got a nose ring. It's not the best.
And this is very similar to the putting your hand over the top of the glass and swirling because you're keeping those aroma molecules in and then you're breathing them out. So you are pushing them out so you really get that retronasal action. It's really good. Take some practice. I don't do it very often because it is slightly complicated, but I like to share it in case anyone wants to give it a go. So I'm going to give it a go now. You might want to go to the video for this to see how we do it. Here we go.
I don't do it often just because my nose ring. It's just annoying.
Ooh. So that when I do that, I get more sweetness from this.
I think when I do it, it's less bitterness. I mean, it's already quite low bitterness, but there's even less bitterness.
Yeah.
But the roastiness just gets a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
So it's very heavily roasty. It's quite good though.
So I've got that vinegar note in there. And at first it was just kind of vinegary and tart. Whereas when I do that motion, I get more of that balsamic sweetness from it. Interesting.
This definitely has, like, I think when I do that, it's sort of the carbonation's a little bit lower, and I do get
Yeah.
a little bit more of that like biscuit element to it. I think it has quite a high roastiness. I quite like a roasty stout though, so like to me this is great. I really enjoy it.
Almost get a little bit of smoky wood in there as well in
Ooh, I
mine.
like that.
This is so complex. Like it's a it's a barrel aged wild beer. It is going to have ridiculous amount of layers. At least it should do if it's a good one. And I think this is quite good. So yeah, that's your whistle stop tour through how to taste beer if you weren't sure.
It will set you up for success
It will.
in 2024. So there you go.
Yeah. Let us know if you want to know any more beer tasting tips. We are happy to share.
Thank you for guiding me through that because I wasn't sure what I was doing, and that was really great. Hopefully we've helped someone there, and hopefully it's meant they've not had to go back and find it in our previous episodes. Yeah, I guess in terms of like, we're talking about other resets in January. I think for me, the only other thing worth noting, like I know that what I really want to make sure, I've said already, what I really want to make sure that I'm doing is buying the right amount of beer, because I think like it's been something that I think has just piled on and on and on since so COVID, and then we were like buying lots of online orders, and then obviously the podcast that started amping up, so then we started buying more podcast beers, and then when we started interviewing people, it's okay, well now we have to put in an order so that we can do an order, and the order has to be worthwhile to make sure the shipping's worthwhile, so it's like we got to make sure we get in the stuff for the podcast and then enough to justify shipping and everything else. And so I think we just like, there were times that I was getting like multiple beer orders a week. Like I'd come home and Rick would be like, you've got like 3 orders, like what are you doing? With no less than 6 beers minimum in them, and it just piled up. And so for me, I'm kind of at a point where I've got some stuff that's been sitting with me like for a shockingly long amount of time that I would be embarrassed to admit I've had for that long. Like I would never say how long.
And you don't then, and like we want to support these breweries, we want to highlight them, but you don't want to be highlighting beers that people can't get or that maybe are past their best, and so actually we're not getting the best out of them. Definitely we don't want to do that. So I think it is a follow through from COVID, because we just you ended up with a lot. And
I think it's sort of like, do you think about it in the same way of like people, not that this is like the Great Depression, but what I mean is like in the Great Depression, people kind of like looking for after that, the lasting impacts of that were like, you'd be looking for really good bargains when you were buying food, because you had to make sure the money stretched more, and so you'd be looking for certain things, and like that's kind of carried on through like generations of, it's had that like lasting impact. And I think like for us, because of COVID, like you didn't know when something was gonna go out of stock or whatever, so you tend to just like buy and hoard stuff. I never did the whole like buying and hoarding, but I know a lot of people did. I think when it came to like beer, I was like, I want to support all these breweries. I want to make sure they're not, that I'm doing what I can to support people. And they all sound really interesting, and people were putting out new stuff all the time, and I was wanting to do that. I was wanting to support that.
I've spoken to brewers since, and they were like, I was talking to one brewer, and they were like, we kind of got ourselves in a bit of a fix because we were putting out
weekly,
like 2-3 new beers every week, and the audience now expects that. And now we're at a point where we're like, well, actually, we can't afford to do that anymore. It doesn't, the business model for that doesn't work for us. But we've got an audience that expects that. So, breweries are not doing that anymore because, they can't afford to.
Well, you see ones that still put stuff out, but it's like what they're putting out is not as interesting as it was before. I'm not saying everyone's, but there are places that like, they've got to that habit of, okay, we'll put something out, but it's not ever that it's the most. I would almost rather wait longer and have something that is more interesting.
Yeah, same.
Than to have something that is just like, the 5th of the same thing they've put out in the last like few weeks. But I think I got into that bad habit of it piled up, and then it all gets up on top of you, and then you have so many, because then I'd save it because I'd want to write about it or share it with someone or do something with it. So I can't have that yet, or I'm waiting for my husband to want to drink it with me, and he has very different drinking habits than I do. His are far less than mine are. So there was a lot of like, oh, okay, it just all got on top of me, and ended up with so many beers, and a lot, like, there's a good portion, I wouldn't say all of them by any means, or even half of them, but there is still a good percentage that are just older than I would have liked them to be. And some of them I want them to be like that, 'cause some of them it is I'm doing a vertical or I'm aging them or something like that. But then there's too many stouts, because I love stouts. My problem is I'm never in the mood to drink them at home all the time. Like, I love a stout, but I kind of like it more when I'm out and about, or I like it as like the end of a session. I don't normally like session stouts. So I collect all these stouts because I'm like, they sound amazing. But then I barely get around to actually drinking them. And some of them, like if it's a milk stout, like that's not going to age well. I'm going to need to drink that. So I think what I'm going to...
a milk stout once, it did not end well.
I tried that before and it didn't end well either.
Doesn't end well. Top tip, don't age your milk stout, guys. Yeah. Doesn't work.
Yeah, trust the best before on that one.
Trust it.
But I think, like, for me, what I'm going to have to do as part of my reset activities, admittedly, and I know that this is going to probably be a divisive topic that people are going to be pissed off about, but, like, you know, I've given them the money and I'm not going to rate them poorly on time. I'm not going to, I'm not going to go out and say anything negative. For me, what I'm going to have to do to get myself back to a manageable position is, I think I'm just going to have like a weekend where I take all the stuff that's out of date and I one by one just kind of go, okay, I'm going to open this, I'm going to have some of it to know what it tastes like. If it tastes really good, I'm probably going to drink more of it, and if it doesn't taste great, then I'm going to be like, well, at least I know what it tastes like now, and then I'm going to have to drain pour it, like, just to get myself back in a position where I'm not sat there with a whole bunch of stuff that I can't have. I'll probably work from like the oldest date back up to the newest, really.
I've definitely done that.
But I know that this is probably going to be people are like, I think that you'll have people, probably not any of our listeners, but like if somebody shared this with somebody that's not one of our normal listeners, I think you have people that like to think that they would never get themselves into the situation, or like forget, like I was trying to do the right thing and support people that I care about and support businesses that I care about, and I just found that it was like, shit, it's all on top of me now. But and I need to make it a manageable thing. And I know now my habits are different.
That brewery, that bottle shop, whichever, has had that money. Like, they've had that. It's now up, you own it. It's up to you what you want to do with it. You're not, you're not going to we're not going out there. You're not going to trash
I'm not being
them.
like, this was shit.
This
I didn't
was
like
terrible.
this.
Right. You're not doing that. It's just how it is. Like, that's fine. And I feel like there's another thing.
Even if I put it on Untapped, I never rate it like that. If it's past its best before, like, even if I like it, I don't rate it because I go, it's not fair.
Yeah, I'm not going to put a rating.
I just want to know that I've had it.
I might rate it for me personally in my personal notes, but I won't put it on there because that's not. Yeah, it's not useful to anybody to do that. And I'm where I'm trying to read more. I'm in a few different book groups and things now, and there are people that are like, if you're reading a book and you don't like it, you don't have to finish it. Like, do not, like, DNF, do not finish it. That is fine. And actually, this I think leads into as well, you don't have to like all the beers. You don't have to like all the beers that everybody says that you should like. You like the beers that you like. And if you're drinking a beer at home, you don't have to drink the whole thing if you don't want to.
Oh,
that's fine.
Full on, like
that's not a problem.
We've recorded.
You paid for it. Drink what you want to drink. Drink how much you want to drink. That's nobody else's business but yours.
We've recorded, and I've gone, like, even when it's something that I've really liked, if the bottle was just too big or I had too many of them, I'm like, I've got to pick and choose. Like, I really want to finish the ones, if it gets to be quite late, I'm like, I want to finish the ones that I actually really enjoyed, and some of it just has to get poured because I just can't drink all of it. Definitely. Or like, especially if we've done like stupid amounts of stouts and they're like high ABVs, which happens, and I'm like, I'm full, like I physically cannot finish them.
I'm thinking that something this year is that I want to drink some of those beers that I've got in the cupboard that I've been saving. Like, these are good beers. Let's get them drunk, because
the problem is there's such a fine line, isn't there?
And some of them are 750ml beers, and I haven't got a place where I want to share them, or people. I haven't had time to share them with people. Do you know what? Maybe I'm going to drink them, and maybe I'm only going to have a little bit of them. Maybe I'm not going to drink the whole thing.
But like the thing is, as well, is like, you can only, with the aging process, is like, no one knows when the right time is. It's like you could then leave it too long.
I could be leaving them too long.
not right, or maybe like there's always going to be a what if I left it
Seize
longer
the day,
and what if I didn't.
people. Carpe diem. Drink those beers.
But yeah, I
Life
think
is
for me, that is what I'm going to do to kind of reset myself. Is I think I'm going to have some time in the coming weeks where I slowly start kind of getting rid of everything that's really old. Drink a bit of it.
I mean,
and
I
then
can come
dump
round
it.
and help you.
You absolutely can. And yeah, just get rid of some of that stuff, and then I think I just want to then get on top of it and get in better habits kind of going forward. And I just recommend everyone kind of like take stock of what they've got sometimes and be like, oh, do I have too much? Like, if you're wanting to try something really bad, like I guess the alternative is, instead of putting in an order for that, maybe look at who around you has it in stock and try to get out and just drink it out and about. Because then at least you're kind of like, I don't have to justify shipping. I don't have to, you can just have that one beer if that's the one beer that you want.
I also do this thing where if I've bought some new beers, I feel guilty if I drink those before I drink the older ones.
Me too.
Which is probably right. But also, if I want to drink that new one,
you want to drink
in
it.
its optimum drinking
well,
time,
what do you do?
Maybe I should just
do you drink do you drink the one that's new and that's the best one, or the one that's already kind of by the wayside? Do you go, well, I'm just gonna kind of kick the can down the road on this one? And what's the right answer?
This is why I'm kind of doing the beer tarot thing, because I can pull that and I'm like, right, I'm going to pick a beer from my stash that coincides with the meaning, that resonates with me to go with that card, and that is helping me to de-stash a bit, because I'm like, well, I'm going to pick that one because out of my stash, and I have a color-coded spreadsheet so that I can, so that I don't drink the podcast beers, but I've got the ones that need drinking, got them in best before order so I can see. But yeah, that is helping me to de-stash at the moment.
It's interesting that you say that. So I asked people on Facebook and Instagram and everything for movie recommended. I was like, what do you think is the greatest movies of all time that everyone has to see? And it doesn't matter how many. I was just like, list whatever you think is a movie that is like a must see by somebody in their lifetime. And people gave me a whole bunch of recommendations, which this is not the exhaustive list because I haven't finished putting them all in paper, but I have put a scrap of paper for all of them. And like when it was things that were like The Godfather, and there's like 3 Godfathers, I did one piece of paper that says The Godfather, and I've done like 1, 2, 3, for example. So that way I can pull it out, do the first one, chuck it back in. Because what I'm going to do, or attempt to do, is just whenever I've got like a little bit of kind of free time and I've got enough time to watch a film, or we're looking for a film to watch or whatever, I'm not just going to stick with what people have suggested. I'm also going to kind of Google like top films or things that I haven't seen or whatever. And I'm just going to pull one like at random and then be like, cool, it's this one. And try to, it depends what it is. If it's something I've seen before, I may try to match a beer I already have to it to be like, I know this will go with it really well. If it's something I haven't seen before, I might try something different, which is I'll pick a beer at the start, which is, this is what I think would go, like, if I don't know what it is, I'm not going to research into it at all. I'm literally just going to be like somebody suggested something. I was like, never heard of that. Don't know what it is. And I'm not going to look into it in advance. I'm just going to pick a beer that I think goes with it.
Is it the one that I told you?
No.
That's a great movie.
Nope. Nope. It was something that someone else said. I was like, literally never heard of this in my life. But I just want to I'll probably pick something that I think goes with it. And at the end of once the film's done, I'll probably pick another beer that I think actually represents it accurately. And I just think it's a nice challenge to be like, what can I get? And it might just be something that's like, in this movie, there's this type of animal, and therefore
of course.
This matches because there's that on the label.
That's what I'm doing with my books. Like, I think the one that I'm currently reading, I think I'm going to match a beer called Ghost to it.
Oh, I like that.
Because there is a ghost mentioned in the book. And I think from my stash, that's probably the best one that goes with it. Did someone did someone suggest Memento to you?
Yes, someone did suggest
Excellent.
Memento
Yes, that
to
definitely should be on
me.
there.
So I feel like for that one, if I had to pick off the top of my head, I've watched Memento. We watched that the person that recommended it to me, we were in the same art class in high school, and we watched it in
Memento's
art
so
class
good.
in high school.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick like Phantom's Lens, because there's a camera
Yeah.
on it, and so like that makes sense to me
Yeah.
as like the initial one. But I think part of it is like if it's something I haven't watched in a while or something I don't remember as vividly, like what I'm playing around with doing as well is like watching the film, having the beer, and then just kind of doing like a brief, did this age, like is it an older film, did it age well, like do I actually enjoy watching it now, like is this an iconic status, like I don't know. And then also kind of going, and here's the beer that I've put with it, and this is why I've put it with it. I said it's just a bit, I guess, sort of like A, writing prompts, B, something to kind of do when I don't have anything else to do, and B, it just encourages me to drink through the stash, really. So like if people want to recommend me movies, please feel free to drop them in my inbox or whatever, because I'll add them. Because I feel like what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep growing this list.
Just keep adding to it.
I'm going to put it in another box. I just chucked them all in here for now so that I could illustrate to you what I was doing, and
Nice.
I'll chuck them in a box. I'm going to find a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think Rick or I or both of us haven't seen that I feel like we should have seen. But please, like, feel free to recommend me like really niche things. You can absolutely troll me if you want and recommend me absolutely shockingly shit stuff. Because like B-grade movies, I don't care. Like give B-grade horror movie, I'll watch that as well. I will pretty much watch whatever. Won't like it all, but
I've got one that I didn't recommend to you. Dr. Caligari's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Oh, I've that.
Have you seen it?
That's a TV show, I think, isn't it?
No,
I'm thinking
no,
of
it's not.
No, I'm thinking
it's like a black and white silent movie.
I'm thinking of the one, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
1920.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put this on. I'm writing it down now as we speak.
Yeah.
I will submit it. But it can be anything. Like it can be a comedy. It could be black and white. It could be hot. Like I prefer comedies, but if you want to give me whatever, I'll watch it.
The other film that if listeners you're interested in, the other one that I suggested to Tori, it is one of my favourite films of all time, and it's called Velvet Goldmine. And it has got.
I haven't watched that, so I have no idea.
So
as well, no
good.
idea. To be fair, I have no idea what I'm getting into with that either. So
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers in it, Christian Bale.
Don't like spoiler. McGregor, don't spoiler. No spoilers for it.
Susie Eddie Izzard, Toni Collette. Such a good cast. Oh, the costumes. Like the costume geek in me. Oh, it's one of my favorite films ever. Costumes are by Sandy Powell, who is my favorite costume designer of all time. Like, oh, I love it. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's so good.
Well, yeah, there we go. And if you want to, like I said, if you want to submit me some stuff, please feel free to send. I think, to be fair, we were going to go through a whole the new Drink Harder challenge and everything else, but I think
we save it.
We could do a whole separate episode, but I guess let's use this as a plug space to say I think it's fair for us to say we're going to try to create our own list of challenges.
Yeah.
We're going to try to make it as inclusive, but there's going to be some stretch ones where it's like...
Yeah, there'll be some stretch goals.
And I think... Love a stretch goal. And I think we're going to try to make it so it's not specifically like has to be done in a year. So you can play along with whenever you want. It doesn't have to just be January to December. You can do it whenever you want. We'll just add to it every year. But I think we'll also try to do the Drinks Harder challenge. But we will go through all of this in another episode. But if there is things that you want to challenge us with, or things that you think would be a good drinking challenge that you'd like to see on a list to see other people play along with, send it in to us. I guess you can send it into both of us. We can start doing our plugs now, because why not? Makes the perfect sense to do that. But you can send it to both of us at A Woman's Brew on Instagram and Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on X, but
we don't check.
We're not going to check that. You can email it in to us if you want at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. You can submit your challenge ideas there, or even challenge us to go places, do whatever, recommend guests across any of those things. we'll pick it up. If you want to be on the podcast, you can write into us there, or you can message us. If you want to submit some really great movie ideas for me, the nicher the better. Like I said, I prefer comedy, but like whatever, I'll go with as niche as you want. Just don't make it like straight up porn, because I'm not going to watch straight up porn. Like if there's a bit of like nudity in it, I'm not going to be like, oh my, I'm not going to clutch my pearls, but I don't need like straight up porn. So don't try to troll me like that, because I'll vet that out. But you can submit them to me at adventures_in_hoptimism on Instagram. You can also email me at adventuresinhoptimism@gmail.com. All my links for anything else that I don't keep up to date with are in my Instagram, so you can kind of find it all there. Jo, if people want to like kind of follow you along and what you're doing with your beer and tarot, where can you...
Yeah, if you want to find my beer and book pairings, my beer and tarot pairings, we do Beer and Tarot Tuesdays. Come over for Beer and Tarot Tuesdays. I might be sharing a bit of my journaling stuff as well. I'm trying to get that blog, more stuff on the blog. So come and have a look at that. You can find me at my beer school, which is Love Beer Learning, and we are on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Pinterest. But you're probably gonna find me on Instagram the most. So just come over there. Or you can come to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, or you can email me lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Let us know what you're enjoying, what you want to see more of, because we want to create things that you want to listen to. Let us know.
Thanks for listening to this this bit of a rant. We just thought we wanted to catch up with people for a bit. We haven't really had a catch up ourselves, so this was like a really good little catch up, ease back into things, and we got some exciting things that hopefully are coming up in the new year, so stay tuned. But
make
on
sure
that note, Jo,
like and subscribe. Smash that like and subscribe
ring that
button. Ring that bell.
I'm done. Cheers.